up barking.
Oh, we're good. This is a cold open. You got a dog. Like, this is a very dog-friendly podcast, Coach Josh Niblett. What kind of dog do you have? That's how we'll start.
I got a boxer red heeler, so he's a rescue dog. He's had 2 ACL surgeries, so he's been through it all, brother.
2 ACL surgeries already. So I know you're a fit guy. What kind of, are you bringing the dog along on these workouts? Is that what's happening here?
Until the second ACL surgery, he can't run with me anymore. So, but he stays pretty active, man. He's just kind of laying down here beside me right now. So when Mama gets home here in a minute, he could go nuts. So it just depends.
Hey, it's a dog-friendly podcast. I just kicked my dog out because the Sports Renaissance woman's going to get here just like you at any moment, and she's going to lose her mind and bark and go crazy. So I'm like, can't have it. So she's pretty upset. She's in the other room blocked away, but the pod comes first. What is your workout routine, Coach? What is a day? Like, because you're like, for folks who don't know, like I know a lot of coaches. You're pretty jacked compared to a lot of coaches I know. So what is your routine like on it? Do you have a normal daily routine, or is it change?
Oh yeah. Well, I kind of have a routine that I've kind of always been on. I mean, like I've worked out since I was probably 10 or 11 years old, just, and then when I played at Alabama, of course you had to work out. And then when I got through at Alabama, then I kind of went into bodybuilding a little bit. And then I was a strength coach in college for a little while. So then I went into powerlifting. And then when you get to be 50 years old this past January, it's all about survival mode. So you're just trying to be in good shape. I used to worry about seeing how big I could get, but now it's about how lean I can be. And so, I get up and train in the mornings, and I try to get up before, we have our workouts. And
what time are we talking here?
So normally, I'm normally in there by 5:30 in the mornings. And then in the summer, it might be 5 o'clock in the morning. So it just depends on what I've got going on that morning. And then when we're starting workouts. And so I'll train with the kids sometimes in the weight room. I'm on this burpee kick right now where, I try to do all these burpees and try to get a certain amount done, during the day. My brother kind of got me on that. So he's a kind of a HIIT workout guy. I'm still kind of like to lift weights. But I don't, I've still got a lot of injuries that kind of control that for me and dictate that. So I don't have a labrum in either shoulder. So, when I do bench, it's a little bit different. And, so now it's not about how much weight I can do. It's more about reps. And so I'm just trying to stay fit. And, I'm a high energy guy. So, I'm always burning calories. But I'm always staying on the move. And my wife here, she knows. So she's always like, hey, something ain't going good. She's like, hey, go for a run, go work out, go do something. So, she knows, and so she knows me better than anybody else. But I enjoy working out, and I enjoy having an opportunity. God's blessed me with a healthy body, so I want to make the most of it.
A good run, man. I'm a big runner, and there's nothing better than the runner's high. Like when you're stressed and you just keep moving. Running, people like if you're scared of running, it's like it's not the physical thing; it's the mental. Like running is entirely mental. You will be completely amazed at what you can do when you just move past the mental thing.
Well, and now look, now I don't. Yeah, that runner's high now. I don't know if I ever get to that moment.
Really?
My thing is like now, when I used to pound the pavement for like 30 miles a week, that would be about all I would do because I wasn't trying to be a marathon runner. I'm just trying to burn calories because I like to eat. And so now it's, I get on a glider. Now I get on a treadmill. Then once the weather starts being consistent where I can get outside, then it's a whole lot better. But when you start getting to 50, 60 years old, you got to start taking care of your knees and your hips. And so, I'm not interested in having hip replacement surgery or knee replacement surgery. So I got to find other ways, whether it's burpees or speeding my workout up or tempo. But I can't honestly say that I woke up every day and I go, man, I can't wait to go run today. The last 15 years, I've just made myself go run every day.
Yeah. So. It's just different folks, different things for different folks. Are you a coffee guy? Because if you're up at 5 a.m., man, like
I'm kind of embarrassed to even tell you how much coffee I drink a day. So,
nothing would surprise me after Dan Campbell's talking about did you ever hear what the Detroit Lions coach, what his daily order is? Starbucks. No. Okay, so he's doing. Shout out to Dan Campbell. So he's another high energy guy. Dan Campbell.
Oh yeah, I love him.
Yeah, he's great. But he gets a double, like a 2 large Starbucks coffees with 5 shots of espresso in it. So it's like the milligram count. Someone did the math on like what his daily order is. It's like he shouldn't have a heart anymore. I don't understand how that man's functioning. So trust me, nothing would surprise me.
Well, when COVID hit and we had the pandemic, then I joined Panera because I love Panera coffee to the unlimited sip club. And so they waste a lot of money on me. So I'm at least getting 2 to 3 cups out of there every day that are largest. So, and I make an espresso at home, but I'm a black coffee guy. So, I'll do some decaf every now and then. Matter of fact, me and my wife and my son just got through eating dinner. And so I told them I had a podcast. So they're having to bring my decaf coffee to me. So
I think we're the same person, just different roles. I'm a big decaf guy. I just do decaf and coffee and water. And then, I mean, it's all you need. That is all you need. Well, also, Coach Josh Niblett is here, so that's something we should probably start off. But we dove right in. You're a natural, so you'll be once you're in your 50s, once that coaching thing winds down. I think you got a future in the podcast game because you're just.
Well, it's funny you say that because somebody, I'm actually trying to get a podcast started.
Okay.
This year, and so whether it gets done or not, I don't know, but that might be a deal where I have you on with me, which would be awesome also.
Oh, I'm down. I am absolutely down because I finished up undergrad in Gainesville because the journalism department at University of North Georgia, Gainesville. Hey, I'm familiar. I am familiar with Gainesville. So before that, though, I want to get a read. So you're at Gainesville now. We'll get into Gainesville, but you came from a very high-profile place. And Alabama football, I am not as familiar with. Now I've gotten to learn a lot more about Tennessee high school football. And let me just tell you, the TSSHA, whatever they call it here, is a mess, Josh, like an absolute mess. The playoff system makes no sense. You're 3-7. You're making the playoffs. It's all these different classifications. Right. When I become sports czar of the state of Tennessee, I'm fixing all of this. I'm like, GHSA has it down. Like, this all makes sense. It works. Like, you guys got to get your act together. This doesn't make any sense. Not real champions. Can't do it. But I want to start there. So what do you like when you decide to move your family from Alabama to Georgia this late in your career? What led you to that decision? What made you want to change that big of a change too?
I never really thought about retiring in my career. I mean, I didn't. I never really thought about that. And, I loved my job there. I've been there 14 years. We'd won a lot of games, won some championships. And, we got to coach some really, really good players that went on to play college ball and coach with some really good coaches that went on to be coordinators and head coaches. And so really good community. We had a great opportunity. Loved my family there, raised my family there. I mean, so, my biggest thing is there was an opportunity that when I started thinking about, I'm turning 50 in January. Did I need something fresh? Did I need something new? Did I need something to sharpen my edge? And so for me, it was, it was about trying to retire from Alabama, and I had a lot of 6 days left. So I was able to buy, a year back and then, but I wasn't going to leave there for just anything. And so,
what drew you to Gainesville?
Well, my AD walked in one day. And so I wasn't even thinking about leaving. And he's like, hey, have you seen Gainesville? And my AD and I are like, people are like, your AD came to you? Well, my AD and I were best friends. And so we're always looking out for each other. But he's like, hey, you see what they're doing at Gainesville? Well, the only thing I knew about Gainesville was when I was coaching QBR camp, we did a little camp at Riverside Military School for about 3 or 4 years. So I would go on a run in the morning. And there was 2 things I remembered about Gainesville. Well, 3 things. I'm a mellow mushroom addict. I could eat mellow mushroom every day. All right. Then Main Street Cafe. All right. I did buy it, but didn't get to eat there, but smelled the bacon. And then City Park. And then, those 3 things I thought, man, I never thought I would ever be at Gainesville High School. But I thought to myself, man, what a neat community. And so when I heard him tell me that, then I kind of looked into it, but I didn't think nothing about it. And I was like, hey, well, you ought to call them and see what they're going to do. I didn't know if they'd already had somebody in mind and how the hiring was going to go, what they were looking for, the time, what was, salary, were you going to be able to bring your staff in, what were you going to be able to do? And so long story short, got an opportunity to interview and felt like that was the thing God was leading me to do. And I turned it down. But then they wouldn't stop. They called again and a few times. And then I thought, well, man, I think God's got a calling on me right now that there's some lives that need to be impacted. And so my wife and I picked up, and our son will be a junior next year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was probably the toughest thing. My daughter plays junior college softball in Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
So we were 50 minutes away from her. Now we're 3 hours and 40 minutes away. My oldest son plays at Cumberland University in Lebanon, Tennessee. We were probably 3.5 hours from him there. Now we're 4. So that wasn't as big a deal. And, I think the biggest thing is my wife. I just want to make sure she was happy. And this was a great opportunity for us. And, coach is a ministry for us and our family. And so we felt like, hey, no better place than to be somewhere where you're wanted and where you needed. And it's not that I wasn't wanted or needed at Hoover, but I needed something fresh and I needed something that was going to spark me. And I want to make, another run at it. And so, we've kind of sunk our heels in here and we're excited about being here.
How long do you think you'll keep coaching? Have you thought about that part of it?
Until they tell me I can't coach anymore. So, but I haven't been coaching for 24 years. I've been coaching for 1 year, 24 times. So, I see it different. I try to give a better version of myself. I'm my own worst critic. I wake up every day. I'm the same way at living 365 days. I don't do it. I live one day 365 times. And so that's the way every day, something new to me. I know I don't have tomorrow. All I've got is right now. I can't worry about what I did yesterday. And so for me, it's not about reinventing yourself. I just think it's about giving a better version of yourself and being 1% better and making marginal gains each and every day.
I'm a firm believer in that, and just attacking, it's just, I 100% understand where you're coming from. So what are you going to miss most about Hoover? So with all the folks that grew up watching two-a-days and all of that, how much of that is just sewn into the community that Hoover is this national brand? Because Gainesville's a big brand too, especially in the state of Georgia, but Hoover just being on an MTV show and everything that was what was that like coaching in that environment?
Well, it was awesome. It was awesome. I mean, there's an expectation, people would always ask me, in the summer, how are we going to be this year? And I was like, well, I didn't know we had a choice. I mean, there's no, hey, I think we'll be 500 or whatever. It's, hey, it's championship or bust. And so that's the same mentality I want here with our guys. But if you don't verbally speak it, it'll never happen. So we talked about championships day in and day out, whether we were in the weight room, in the classroom, in the meeting room, at home, in the community. It was about being a champion on and off the field and being a champion in all we do. And so I think when your language is that, then there's an expectation to whether you're in the 7th grade or whether you're in the 12th grade or whether you're in the 1st grade fixing to come up to that program. Because you got to understand, I coached guys that were 3 years old when I got there, 2 years old when I got there. And so those kids coming through our program, we're all about community. And I think that was the neatest thing. I think the biggest thing, you always miss you miss your kids, you miss the coaches, you miss the camaraderie of the community. But I think the biggest thing is in Hoover, there's things to do in Hoover, there's mall to go to, there's, movies to go to. And so, I think when it's big, and I miss, the Met will be something I'll miss just for the fact of being that, you play in front of 15,000 folks on a big game on a Friday night. So, but I mean, hey, it's sometimes it's bittersweet, but for me, I don't have any regrets. I don't look back. I enjoyed my time there. I was blessed to be there, and I got to be around a lot of great people. But I think everybody kind of understood also. And sometimes it's good. Change is good. And maybe they needed a change and maybe I needed a change. But, hey, we'll find out here probably in about 5 or 6 months.
Well, I think you get more time than that. This is year 0. I'm a firm believer in the year 0 for coaches, where when you go into a new situation, you got to throw out with just rosters and getting acclimated, learning just the community, learning everything. It's just year 0. I don't look at anything with a new coach in year 1, because I don't think it's a year 1. I think year 1 is after you've already been there a year and you've gotten acclimated and everything else. Do you share that sentiment? I feel like you don't, because you're a day at a time guy. I didn't think you did.
I don't, because that's not fair to the seniors. That's not fair to the guys I'm coming into. So, they got 1 year left. They deserve my best. They deserve a championship. They deserve an opportunity to order a ring. They deserve an opportunity to play for a ring. And so, whether you ask them, I'm not here to win undefeated seasons. I'm not here to win region championships. We're here to win state championships. And so, I want our seniors to understand that. And I got their back on that. And so I'm going to make sure every day they're coached hard. Days they're going to like it. Some days they won't like it. But I'm going to coach them hard because I owe them that. And they're going to trust in that every day. But I'm not promised 2 years. I'm not promised 3 years from now. I'm just promised right now what I got. So we got to make the most of it. And so, until somebody tells me different, I mean, I always tell people, like, if you want to be a champion, the champion's destiny is always to lose. And people go, well, that don't make any sense. Well, yes, it does. If you're a true champion, you're going to push the envelope.
Yeah.
You're going to push it every day. You're going to keep pushing it every day. And if you lose, you just fail. You're not a failure. And so get yourself back up off the mat. You'll learn how to win again. And so that's what we're doing right now. We're learning how to win again. And then we're learning how to have the right attitude going forward.
Is there one moment, though, for you that was harder than any other loss in your coaching career where you're like, this one was hard for me to get up off the mat for?
Oh, well, it's 2 years. And so you got to imagine, I'm at Hoover High School, my first year there. We probably really, I don't know if we should have made it to the finals or not, but we did. And I mean, our kids showed up, played their tails off. We got beat like 16-13. So we win it in 09. And so we come back in 10. We're undefeated, and we play Team Daphne High School, who had 5 guys that playing in the NFL right now. And they beat us 7-6, and we miss a field goal at the end of the game. I go into press conference, and I just tell them straight up, to God be the glory. Hey, look, it was an opportunity, and it didn't happen, but we'll learn from it. The next year, we come back. We play a team out of their starting 24 or starting 22. They had 26 signed Power 5 scholarships. And it was Prattville High School. And so it's Jamie Dubose was coaching there. That was at Lowndes.
I know him very well. He just left, actually.
Well, he's at Orange Beach, but he was there. And then they beat us 35-34. We went for 2 to win, didn't get it. And so you got 2 straight years. And I think the neatest thing about it, though, Chase, was this: being humbled, knowing you got to go back to work, and then being locked in on what you got to do. Then we won 30 straight games, and then won three back-to-back championships.
Wow.
And so, we could have won. Thing about it is, we could have won close to 6 back-to-back all the way through. But everything happens for a reason. That was probably the hardest getting up off the mat for me. But speed of the pack is the speed of the leader. And the speed of the leader is the speed of the pack. And so, they were looking at me. And so I had to get myself up off the mat. Don't nobody feel sorry for you. And then when I was at Hoover, don't nobody feel sorry for us. I mean, so that's the thing. And so what now what? So what are we going to do? And so we got back focused on what we were doing, but it was a tough time.
Do you remember what you said to the kicker after that? Your kicker at the time, after that miss?
Well, I've always said it never comes down to just one play. I think one play always has an opportunity to make a difference in a game, but it's like Coach Stallings used to tell us at Alabama that, there's 5 or 6 plays that a culmination of those plays come up to make the difference in the game. And, it's never just one play. It's never just one player. We had an opportunity the snap before that with the ball on the 1-yard line, and it's second down, and we jump. And so now all of a sudden it backs us up to the 6. And so we should have just punched it in by, being able to run power or quarterback sneak. But instead, we jump, we have a false start, and it backs us up. But yeah, I remember telling him, look, man, I mean, that's, I love you. I mean, that's the first thing I could tell him is I love you, and you don't worry about it. You've had a great opportunity. You've made the most of your opportunities, and we control what we can't control. And so the kid went on to be a really, really good kicker.
How long did it take for you to find your, because as a writer and podcaster and things like that, you find your voice, you keep throwing stuff out there. It's kind of like what you're saying. It's just every day you get 1% better, and you just have to figure it out. You just have to try. So much of life is just showing up and just putting yourself out there and figuring stuff out, and you'll be amazed at what you figure out along the way. When did it figure out for you? You're like, this is my style. This is my messaging. This is how I'm going to coach. This is the way I got to do this.
Yeah. My dad was a high school football coach for 35 years. So I played for my dad, but my dad and I are kind of, you could see a little bit of my dad in me, but fashion wise, no. I mean, so, I'm a flat bill guy, I still wear skinny pants. I wear joggers on the sideline with dry fit shirts and,
the Kyle Shanahan of high school coaching.
Do what?
The Kyle Shanahan of high school coaching. I like it.
No doubt. Well, Kyle's one of my idols that I like to watch. And, but yeah, I think it was just me figuring out and being comfortable in my own skin. I've always been comfortable in my own skin. And I've never been worried about what people thought about me or or any of that kind of stuff. And I think when I got through coaching college and I was being a high school football coach, it was only me and two other guys coaching at Oneonta High School for 5 years. And so then you find your identity. And I think you can't be scared of being able to change your game a little bit. You can't be scared to, try to find a way to sharpen your edge a little bit more and then evolve as the game evolves, because there's guys in the game that the game passes them by because they want to evolve with the game. I mean, you look at Nick Saban. I mean, you would have thought 8 years ago he would have never went to no huddle, played with tempo. And then now he's beating people with it because he knows that now it's about offense. It's not about defense anymore. And so I think once you understand your style, a way you go about your business, then I think you got to surround yourself with people that support what you're doing, that are going to speak the same language, but that you can develop and let them be the head coaches with their own swagger, with their own style, with their units.
Do you even recognize your just if you put on the film of like your first year coaching versus the film from this past year, does it even look like you're playing the same game?
No, it doesn't. But the game's evolved a lot since 2000. Yeah, you can see my wife in the background.
Yeah.
She's home. Buck will be barking here in a minute. So yeah. So you're on the podcast there. Yeah. So and the thing about it is but if you would have watched us play in 2000 and then, kind of seen all the other offenses, you'd have been like, man, that's pretty innovative on certain stuff. And then, but now we're a big 11, 12 personnel team. We're a lot like the Rams. We're a lot like the 49ers. I mean, if you come watch us,
a lot of zone reads,
style offense that we run, we shift a lot, motion a lot. We're going to take shots, but we're going to win the box. We want to win the box in the run game on both sides of the football. We're going to practice that way. We want to be physical. We want to be tough, but we want to get our playmakers. I don't call plays. We call players. And so we want to try to get as many of our players touches and the guys that we know, because at the end of the game, the last thing you want to do is, God, we should have got so-and-so touches. And so I think that's the way the game's evolved. I think in 2000s, it was more about plays and drawing up touchdowns. And now it's about players. And now it's about, hey, how can I get the ball in his hand? How can I be creative? How can we create mismatches? Because football now is about numbers. It's about space. And then how can you win a numbers game? And then how can you get players in space?
Yeah, it's just high school, especially, man. When I watch tape, it's just, going in, you'll talk to somebody and they're like, oh yeah, there's something that they can do. It's not like free agency and anything else where you can make a trade and you're like, oh, this is a problem that we have here. We need to address this. It's like, no, that's going to be a problem that you have all season long, and everyone's got the same tape and they're going to just go with that over and over and over again. Cause it's like, why would you deviate from that when they have no answer? Like it gets old, but it's cold blooded sometimes in Georgia high school football. Cause it's like, we know your weakness and we're going to target it.
Yeah.
What's the hardest part about learning your scheme though? What is the hardest part that you've noticed that players find is like, okay, this is going to take some time for me to learn with your scheme?
Well, and the thing about it is, I mean, our offensive scheme, if you look at the whole gamut, I mean, I think the hardest thing for the players is when they try to look too big at the picture and they look and go, I got to learn that and I got to learn all that. But then they don't, because when you look at a puzzle, when all the pieces are separated, it looks like, man, I'll never figure this out.
Yeah.
But then once you put the puzzle together and you understand every piece fits and you try to compartmentalize it, fix it here, the install here, install there, and then understand how it fits, then it's unlimited on what we can do, the tags we can add, who we can shift, who we can put in motion, who we can get the ball in their hands, because our offense is simple, but it's not easy. There's a difference between easy and simple. So our offense is pretty complex, but we play fast. So our kids got to think fast. We practice fast. So, but, I think the neatest thing about what we do is how we communicate everything, and so we're a tempo signal team. And so that's the way we practice. And I think once our kids get a gist of what we're doing and then they understand the tags, then it just grows. And then kids start asking for certain stuff. I think that's what's neat about it. We can get underneath center. We can be in the gun. We can be in 12 personnel, 13 personnel, 10 personnel, 11 personnel without subbing out. And so I think that's what makes things tough on defensive coordinators is when everybody's about personnel groupings. And so for us, I think the toughest thing for us as coaches is making sure we get our best 11 on the field, not just the 11 best. So we want to have the best 11 that fit what we do. And then I think it's important for the kids to understand what we're doing and how they got to go about doing it, and then be very technique sound, because these kids today, they want to play 7-on-7. They want to go to every combine there is. There is no blocking. There is no tackling. There is no ball security. So there is no takeaways besides interceptions. And so
yeah.
we're not
you
really
saw flag football might be an Olympic sport soon. So
and it's not real football. I mean,
yeah.
so if you want to win football games, you got to be able to block and tackle. It always boils down to that. So, we want to be schematically and give our kids a chance, but also at the same time, we're only as good as what they can learn. I know it all, but that doesn't mean I don't get to play it down. And so, I think the biggest thing is understanding what your deficiencies are and then grow your strengths.
Do you think you're going to be able to do all the installs you want to do this summer with your new players?
Yeah, I do. I think spring ball is going to be highly important with what we do. We break everything down a little bit different just because, we're a 3-day install off a schematic. So we try to do our installs off of 3 pods. The first pod is schematic. So, day 1 we'll install, all of our run buckets, all our pass buckets and screen buckets for that day. Day 2, we'll go through it. We'll do the same thing day 3. And then when we come back to next week, then it's situational. Now, everything that you installed as far as your schematic stuff, now it becomes more situational stuff. So, if you're putting in inside zone, then hey, when we get in the red zone, how are we going to do inside zone a little bit different? What are the motions going to be? How are we going to, how do we want to treat it? How do we want to read it? What do we want to do? And so now your schemes become more situational. And we do that for 3 days. And then the last week is all about time. So we want to make it time sensitive. So whether it's tempo, 4-minute, 2-minute, and then how does every schematic that we have fit into a time schedule? And so that's kind of how we set it up on our install. So we break it down and we explain why we run what we run with our kids, so they know why, because they want to know why. And I think the more they understand why, then the more they have trust in what we're doing.
That seems like a common thread that I've noticed talking to just coaches over the years, that the biggest change with kids is that based on what they grew up in, like just my generation, because I turned 31 in a couple of weeks, so I'm older. I know I got like a baby face, but like I'm up there, and it seems like the biggest change is not like kids just want they want the explanation. You have to earn the trust. It's not just the blind, like, I'll follow you because you're the coach or you're the authority figure. It's more of like, if you explain, you got me. It's just, there's a lot more explanation. That's been the biggest shift for coaches, is that there's a lot more explanation that goes into the coaching process than it was maybe 20 years ago. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I do. But I also think sometimes kids want to know why, because they want to know maybe why they're not getting it. And then, and then sometimes why they're getting it. But I think the one thing that we've talked about with our players is we just want to make our kids more students of the game, understand football. Like kids don't want to watch football anymore. They don't want to sit down and watch just a college game for the purity of the football.
Yeah.
They don't want to sit down and watch an NFL game. They would rather go play Madden, and do that than just study the game. And so for us, we're trying to do everything we can to make our kids better students of the game. So when we're talking about a 3 technique, or we talk about a 5 technique, or we talk about cover 3, or we're talking about choke coverage, or we're talking about bunch sets, or whatever we're talking about, our kids understand that language. And it's not like we're speaking some foreign language to them and then they don't understand it. And so I think that's key also, is that's the why, is sometimes they don't understand where you're coming from and they don't understand exactly the football of it. And so that's why we want them to know why. I mean, every day we go in the weight room, Chase, and when I talk to our guys, I mean, we do a lift. I mean, I tell them why. Why are we doing this lift? Why are we doing split squats for stabilizers? Why are we trying to create force off the ground? Because it's how we run. So I think then you have validity within what you do, but more than that, you have credibility. And so kids want to know how much you care before they care how much you know. And so we're going to make sure they understand that every day they come in.
What was the most common question you got from kids when you first got to Gainesville?
God, I don't know. I didn't give them much time to answer. I mean, it was come in the door and let's go, let's hit it running. No, I mean, I don't think there's, I mean, I just have great conversations with our players. I mean, and I probably
So it was
asked
like a hit the ground running. There was no awkward transition. It was just it
no.
was seamless.
It was almost like I remember my brother when he came in about the end of January, and I'd already been there, and he came in maybe 1st of February. And I remember the first workout he was in there, he walked up and he goes, I feel like I've been here 5 years because these kids, they just want to be coached. They just want to be coached. And so I think that's what's neat about them, because our kids are, they're just eager. They're hungry.
Yeah.
They're sponges right now. They want to come in and give you a hug. They want to leave. We tell each other we love each other before we leave every day. And that's in 3 months. I mean, when I told them that the first day I met them, I told them, hey, I'm going to tell you I love you every day. But now you don't have to tell me back until you get ready. And now they want to come up and give you a hug. They want to come up and give you knuckles. And, we talk about our days. And then the next day we come back. I mean, we try to talk about family. We try to have some because we want 2 things in our program. Number 1 is we want to be clearly engaged. And then number 2, we want to have shared experiences. And so every day, that's our job in our program as players and as coaches to make sure those 2 things happen.
Do you have a game circled on the calendar for this fall that you're most excited about in your debut?
I don't know any of these teams at all. Yeah, I got Marist is who I got circled because they're the first one.
There you go. Have any other coaches in the state reached out to you to kind of like get a feel of what you?
Well, I mean, I've had guys kind of text me a little bit and said, "Hey, welcome to Georgia," but I mean, I don't know how to say it, but I'm for Gainesville, so that's who I wake up working for every day. So my nose is to the grind, and I'm so consumed with what we're doing that I don't have much time to socialize. And so that's just kind of the way I've always been. I'm kind of kind of business type guy. So it's all about trying to get our kids better. And I can't do that if I'm not there. So that's why, I'm in the weight room with them every day, spending time with them and trying to grow them and impact them. And I can't do that if I'm talking to some other people. So I'm pretty locked in on our guys and our staff.
When the season wraps up, so in a normal, this is a different off season because of the situation with Hoover and Gainesville and everything. But like in a past off season, the last game's over, you have the break, you have time off. How much time do you give yourself to like get away from football altogether? I'm not gonna think about it. I'm not gonna think about anything of the sort. What do you do? What's your off season like? Are you able to do that?
Zero. I mean, but I don't complain about it either.
Yeah.
Though. I mean, like, I might get up about an hour and a half later, but I'm already writing notes because I keep a journal during the year, and I always write down notes about what we got to do to get better, and whether it's a practice schedule, second week of October, how did we handle Thanksgiving break? Labor Day, we practiced in the morning. Should we have went mid-afternoon and not changed our schedule? How did it affect us? Fall camp. So I'm always constantly re-examining and reevaluating our program and what we've got to do to get better. Now, do I take some time to, chill out a little bit, drink a cup of coffee? And but when
nothing chills you out like a cup of coffee. Nothing chills you out like a nice cup of coffee.
I'm at school. I'm there to work, and like my wife will tell you. I have a notebook that sits by my recliner that, when we got beat out in the semis, the first thing I did was break that notebook out and start writing in it. And so I think because if you don't, then I think you forget, what you need to do to get better. And I think I just think it's always kind of got to be in the back of your mind if you want to be a champion. Some people see the glass as half full and half empty. I just see it as empty. And so it ain't full. And so, like, for me, I think it's always constantly trying to work to get better, and whether it's after the last game or the first game.
You need to get that on a Gainesville t-shirt. That's a good saying right there. I haven't heard that before. I like that. The glass, I don't look at it as glass half full or half empty. I just look at it as it's nothing.
Well, I never understood that whole scenario anyway, so I just knew it wasn't full. So, that's kind of the way we approach it every
day. What's been the coolest part about the Gainesville community thus far that you've experienced since coming over?
Just the people, man. It's, the community is so diverse, but the diversity of, if you're on Dawsonville Highway and you want to eat at Outback, or do you want to drive downtown and eat at the Square, or do you want to go on Green Street and eat at Melon Mushroom?
Yeah.
You got a little bit of everything. You got Long Street. It's just an unbelievable community of people who, there's a lot of pride in this community. I mean, there is. I mean, you think of red elephants. How many other people have the mascot red elephant? Nobody, because there is nobody else. And so, we're unique here. And we wake up, wanting to be unique. We wake up being unique in the fact that we want to try to do the right things and support each other, care for each other, give each other the resources that it takes to be champions, and then pursue that every day. And so, I think like our people here like want to support our program. They want to support our kids. It's not just football, but I mean, it's everything. It's all of our sports. And our people are highly involved with wanting to support our student athletes and give them an opportunity for a future that is bright. And then in turn, I think we all try to be one big family, and we try to help raise everybody's kids and be around them. And so I think that's the neatest thing about Gainesville. And I think everybody, and I think that being from Georgia, that's one of the neat things about Gainesville in this area.
Yeah. Have you gone to Lake Lanier at all? Have you experienced the lake?
I've rode by it, but that's about it.
Okay. Are you a lake guy at all? Were you a lake guy in Alabama?
Oh yeah, I'm a lake guy. But I'm a go out and tan guy. That's my thing. I just like to lay out. So but the lake deal, I'm interested to see how that's going to work out this summer. And we moved over here in the Limestone area, so we really like it over here. So we're only about 6 minutes from actually where the crew races were in the Olympics, and so
nice.
Get over that park. That'll be neat, to go over there a day or two a week. But yeah, I mean, it's what a neat place around here. What great opportunities, whether you want to climb a mountain or you want to go swimming, you want to get on a boat, or if you want to go to the Lanier and walk around the square. Yeah. And then you're not too far from a lot of places. I mean, I think the toughest thing for me is I just can't stand driving through Atlanta to get to anywhere, because
you don't have to.
Very patient guy, as you could tell. And so I do not like traffic. And I've had to learn how to be patient and press pause a few times.
Oh, man. I'm not going to lie to you, Coach. That's going to be a part of your life now. I'm not going to lie to you. 985.
Stay home all the time. So
there you go. I mean, I do not miss the amount of time. I tell folks all the time, because I'm up here in Knoxville and there's no traffic in Knoxville, Tennessee. And people complain I was like, if you ever hear somebody running there, I was running behind, and you're like, what are you talking about? What traffic? You sat there for 5 minutes extra? Yeah. I've been in the gridlock. I mean, I lived downtown for years after undergrad. And I remember one time, I was locked in one position for 2 hours, and I called my mom. I was like, Mom, I got to go to the bathroom and I'm not getting out of here. I don't know what I'm going to do. This is like a great Atlanta traffic is unlike anything other. And I don't miss it one bit. Are you a reader?
I won't make you answer what you did as far as having to use the restroom, but
I thought about it as I was talking about it. I was like, I'm probably not going to just throw that out there. That's a mystery for the listeners. Yeah. What, are you a reader at all? Or do you have time?
Yeah, I am a reader. But I'm not a guy that feels like I have to read the whole book. I know that sounds terrible, but if I get what I want out of the book, then that's it. I'll move on to another one. I mean, like Atomic Habits. I mean, I could read the first 3 chapters and I was good with it, And so, Good to Great is a book that I like. Legacy, about the All Blacks, New Zealand rugby team, the program, I do like to read, Play the Man, whether it be Christian books or the Bible or, a motivational book that somebody may recommend or something that I might see. If I think it's going to help me and help the people that I surround myself with, then I'm definitely want to see it and read it.
Do you have a favorite verse?
Yeah, Joshua 1:9, have not I commanded thee, be strong and of good courage. Don't be afraid, neither be thou dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with thee wherever thou goest. I
like it. You had it ready to go because you're going to throw out the verse. You got to have it.
I've lived by since I've been 5 years old. So
very cool. Very cool. We'll end on this, Coach. You're looking at the schedule. I feel like I know based on our conversations, I have a pretty good idea of how you're going to answer this. But when you look at the schedule and you look at your team thus far, and you just done an overview and studied, I imagine you've watched a lot of last year's tape, last year's film from Gainesville. How excited are you that this team can do something special in your first year with a new system, with a new scheme, and all the changes here? That this can be just not a rebuild, but a retool, and this can be something special right away.
Well, I think the biggest thing is through evaluation when we first started in January. So the number one thing is, are you willing to learn?
Mm-hmm.
You know, are you willing to walk in every day and just kind of take it off and let's lock in and focus on what needs to be done? Are you willing to have sweat equity in what we do? Are you going to work hard every day? You know, our number one thing in our program, if you want to be the measure of greatness and success, is consistency. And consistency for us is showing up every day. And so for us, it's about being here every day, because that wasn't the case before I got here. And so for me, it was about our kids being there, being held accountable. It's about being good students, because we have 4 pillars in our program. Number 1 is be a great person. Number 2 is be a great student. Number 3 is do whatever you can each and every day to become a better athlete. And then number 4 is to be a football player. Only until last week did we even talk about any kind of football related language. So for us, it was about being a good person first. And so when I figured that our kids would trust in what we were doing, and we created a bond as quick as we could, I thought, man, this group's got a chance to be pretty special, because I knew they would work hard, because that's half the battle. That doesn't mean you're going to win it. Number 2 is, are they willing to take on the challenge? You know, they want to get better every day. Like, how are they going to be when adversity hits? I think that'll be the key to this group and their success, because everything's not going to be peachy. Everything's not going to be perfect. There are going to be things that we're going to go through that, hey, we're going to have to get ourselves back up off the mat, and we're going to have to handle it the right way with the right attitude and then be coachable. And so that, to me, is something I think still going to be a learning process. And I don't think you learn that until you get into that situation. I think athletically, I think we got some really, really good players. I think we've got to create some depth. I'm not much of a guy that plays guys both ways. I've always been a guy that likes to develop guys to be able to play one side of the ball, but, you know, it may present itself this year that we may have to do that a little bit. So, but I think our numbers are getting up. I don't know what the program ended with last year, but I know right now we're probably at about 120 kids right now. And so, which is awesome. And so, which is up about 60 kids from when I first got there. So, you know, and it's an accountability. It's a work hard, because if they're not committed to it, they can't be a part of what we're doing. And so I think we're growing that. We're growing some leadership, and I think leadership will take us a ways. And then our kids believing in what we're doing. And I think sometimes you can win 2 or 3 ball games just by believing in what you do. And I think the quicker the kids realize it's about us, it's not about our opponent, because that's how we approach the weeks. And we work to get better and better and better every week. When I was at Hoover, I think our biggest thing was by 7 or 8, game 7 or 8, when everybody else was kind of leveling off, we were still inclining up. And I think that's got a lot to do with how I handle what we're doing, how our staff handles what we're doing, and then how our kids handle it. So I'm looking forward to it. We got a great opportunity in front of us, and we're going to go make the most of it.
There you go. I lied. I have one more question. I have got the Waffle House.
Karen, I'm sorry. I had to call my wife. My dog's got a pillow. Karen, Buck's got a pillow. You need to grab it.
Oh, that's great. That's the first time on the podcast. No, there you go. I'll end on this. Well, I'm wearing the Waffle House hat right now.
Yes.
What is your Waffle House order, Coach?
Oh, it's the All-American.
Okay.
Yep, it's the All-American breakfast. So I usually get the wheat toast. If I add hash browns to it, I want them extra crispy. And then I want eggs over medium.
Okay.
And I want 2 waffles. And then I want my bacon extra crispy with extra bacon. So
okay, that's a lot of food.
It is. Well, I don't have a problem getting it down either. So I like to eat breakfast. I love to eat breakfast. I mean, I do. So during the week, I only eat like a banana and like some kind of little protein bar or something.
Yeah.
So on Saturday, either it's Longstreet, or if I'm on the road, it might be a Cracker Barrel or a Waffle House. And so I ate at Waffle House not too long ago. Me and Miss Karen did. So
there you go.
But yeah, I love breakfast.
Josh, how do we support the Gainesville program? So for the listeners outside Georgia and everywhere else, how do they learn more about the Gainesville program, what you got going on, and how do they support the Red Elephants this season?
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Josh Niblett, or Gainesville Football at Gainesville Football, or Gainesville Football Recruiting. And, you know, we'll have some different things going on that, you know, if you'd love to be a part of it, we'd love to have you be a part of it, whether it be from resource standpoint, or just, hey, one night you want to come to Gainesville and come to City Park and experience that, because I'm telling you, it's going to be something special. And what we're about to do here from a program standpoint and from a community standpoint is going to be something special, you know, and then we're going to sustain it, continue to build it year in and year out, and continue to grow it. And I'm excited about it. And God's got a calling on this. And I pray he has an anointing on us every day, and then we continue to do the right things. So love to have people be a part of what we're doing.
There you go. Coach, I wish you all the best. This has been great. Thank you so much for making the time. Great talking with you this evening. Good luck this spring, and we'll have to check back in again soon before the season starts.
Well, let's do that, Chase. God bless you, brother. I appreciate what you're doing just for people in general, man, because our country needs this. And because you and I, just like we said, we were clearly engaged and we had a shared experience. And that's what it's all about.
That's what I want, man. It's just mutual, like just have conversations and learn. Like that's the cool thing is it's just, there's always an opportunity to learn and get better. And like you said, little bit marginal gains every day.
Right.
So
and if there's anything I can do to help you out, brother, let me know.
Absolutely. Coach Niblett, thank you so much. And I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.